Have you ever asked yourself this question? Why should I even try to be a good person? For most of us, goodness was something taught to us as children. Maybe your parents told you that if you behaved well, Santa would bring you gifts. Maybe your teachers said that good students always respect their elders. Or maybe you learned early on that being good simply kept you out of trouble. You avoided punishment. But here's the thing. As we grow up, life gets more complicated, and those childhood rules start to feel shallow. Rewards don't always come. Punishments aren't always fair. And sometimes doing the right thing feels like it costs us more than it gives back. So why keep choosing goodness? The answer is simpler and deeper than most people realize. Because when you live with genuine kindness, with integrity, with compassion, you don't just make the world better for others. You make it better for yourself. A story of awakening. Let me tell you a story. A friend of mine once confessed something strange. He said, "I don't know why, but the happiest moments in my life weren't the times I achieved something for myself. It wasn't the promotion, the money, or even the vacations. It was the time I paid for a stranger's meal. The time I forgave someone who never apologized. The time I sat with a friend when they were grieving and just listened." He realized something powerful. Happiness isn't just about pleasure, success, or getting what you want. True happiness often sneaks in the side door, when you forget yourself and do something for someone else. Science now backs this up. Studies show that acts of kindness release oxytocin, the love hormone. Your stress goes down, your heart literally gets healthier. Generosity boosts serotonin and dopamine, the same brain chemicals triggered by joy. Being good doesn't just make others smile, it rewires your brain and body for joy. Goodness as a path to true happiness. This is what many people miss. Goodness is not weakness. It's not naive. It's not something you practice just to look virtuous. Goodness is strength. It is health. It is freedom. When you live with kindness, you carry less resentment. When you choose honesty, you don't have to hide behind lies. When you respect others, you live with more self-respect. And slowly, you start noticing a profound shift. You feel lighter. You feel clearer. You feel more alive. That's because goodness aligns you with the deepest part of yourself. The part that knows what's right, even when no one's watching. Hal Urban once said, "When you are good, true happiness will come to you." And he was right. The illusion of complication. Here's another truth. Life is simple, but we humans love to complicate it. Confucius once said, "Life is really simple, but we insist on making it complicated." Albert Einstein echoed the same. I always try to simplify things as much as possible. Think about it. We spend so much of our time chasing success, battling stress, fighting for recognition, yet we ignore the basics. What if the foundation of a meaningful life isn't achievement but goodness? What if instead of asking, "How much can I get?" we asked, "How much good can I give?" A moment of reflection. So let me ask you this directly. When was the last time you did something purely out of kindness, without expecting anything back? How did it feel deep inside when you saw the smile of someone you helped? And why do you think that moment stays with you longer than the thrill of buying something new? Pause for a second and really remember that feeling, that warmth in your chest, that strange sense that this is what life is supposed to be about. That's the secret. The goodness as a choice. Here's the good news. You don't have to wait for a miracle, a perfect day, or some big event to feel this way. Goodness is a choice. It's available to you every single moment. You can choose to listen instead of interrupt. You can choose to forgive instead of resent. You can choose to smile instead of frown. You can choose to open your heart instead of closing it. These may seem small, but they create ripples, and those ripples spread farther than you can imagine. Building the foundation. The question now is not why be good, but rather, what kind of good will you choose today? Think of it like building a house. Every act of kindness is a brick. Every choice of integrity is a stone. Every moment of compassion is a beam of wood holding up the structure. And slowly, you're building not just a house, but a home. A place where your soul feels safe, where others feel welcomed, where happiness has space to grow. Possible, a challenge for you. So here's my challenge to you. Today, don't just watch this video and move on. Do something. Hold the door open for someone. Send a message of gratitude to a friend. Forgive someone who hurt you, even silently in your heart. Or simply smile at a stranger. Notice how you feel afterward, because that moment of goodness will be worth more than hours of scrolling, chasing, or complaining. And tomorrow, do it again and again, until being good isn't something you think about. It's just who you are. Goodness isn't just about morality. It's about mental health, joy, and living in alignment with your truest self. When you choose goodness, you're not just making the world brighter, you're healing yourself. So I'll leave you with this thought. Being a good person is not about perfection. It's about choosing again and again the path that brings light to you and to others. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to be kind to others while being brutally unkind to yourself? We hold doors open for strangers, we say thank you and please, but in the quiet of our own minds, we're tearing ourselves apart. We compare ourselves to people on social media. We criticize our bodies, our choices, our failures. We replay old mistakes like a broken record over and over again, and then we wonder, why is it so hard to feel truly good? Here's the truth. You cannot be a better human to the world if you refuse to be a better human to yourself. The mirror test. Imagine this. You wake up tomorrow, look into the mirror, and instead of judgment, you whisper to yourself, I'm proud of you. When was the last time you said those words? Not to a friend, not to your child, not to your partner, but to yourself. For most people, the answer is never. And that's the problem. Because the way you treat yourself sets the standard for how you treat others. If you walk through life with self-loathing, with emptiness, with constant comparison, then no matter how many good deeds you perform, you'll always feel hollow inside. Real goodness begins within. Stop the comparison trap. Let me tell you a story. There was a young artist who constantly compared herself to everyone else in her field. Every time she saw someone post a new painting online, she felt smaller. Every award her peers won, she saw as proof of her failure. And one day, her mentor told her something life-changing. Stop looking sideways. Start looking inward. Flowers don't compete, they just bloom. That sentence cracked something open in her. Instead of measuring her worth against others, she began celebrating her uniqueness. Her art blossomed. And so did her spirit. Comparison is poison. Gratitude is the antidote. Choosing a role model. If you struggle to know where to start, choose a role model. Someone whose life inspires you. It could be a famous figure, a teacher, a family member, or even a stranger whose story moved you. Ask yourself, what qualities do they have that you admire? How can you practice those same qualities in your daily life? When faced with a tough situation, how would they respond? This isn't about copying them. It's about learning from their light until you find your own. Remember, the greatest leaders were once just ordinary people who decided to embody extraordinary values. The power of self-acceptance. Here's a radical thought. You don't need to earn the right to love yourself. You don't need to wait until you lose the weight, until you get the job, until you fix all your flaws. You are worthy of love right now, exactly as you are. That doesn't mean you stop growing. It means you stop punishing yourself for being human. Self-acceptance is not laziness. It's the soil where growth takes root. Think of it this way. When a plant is struggling, you don't yell at it. You don't say, grow faster, bloom bigger. You water it. You give it sunlight. You nurture it. Why not treat yourself with the same care? Small changes, big impact. Many people think becoming better requires massive transformations. But the truth is, small changes are the secret to lasting growth. 3. Start with a daily affirmation. I am enough. Write down 3 things you're grateful for each morning. Choose one habit you want to build, like listening more or practicing patience. Celebrate progress, no matter how small. These tiny steps create momentum. And momentum creates transformation. As James Clear said in Atomic Habits, every action you take is a vote for the type of person you want to become. So ask yourself, what kind of person are you voting to become today? Forgiveness. The gift to yourself. One of the hardest parts of self-improvement is forgiveness. Not of others, but of ourselves. We cling to past mistakes like they define us. We replay them until they become part of our identity. But forgiveness is freedom. You cannot walk into your future if you're chained to your past. You cannot become better if you keep punishing yourself for not being perfect. So let go. Breathe. Forgive. And understand this. Every scar on your soul is proof that you survived, not proof that you failed. The inner compass. At the end of the day, being a better human is not about being flawless. It's about alignment. Aligning your thoughts with kindness, aligning your actions with integrity, aligning your heart with compassion. When you start treating yourself with love, you naturally extend that love outward. When you stop comparing yourself, you start celebrating others. When you forgive your flaws, you become gentler with the flaws of the world. And that's when real change begins. A challenge for you. Here's my challenge for today. Tonight, stand in front of a mirror, look into your own eyes, and say out loud, I am enough. I am proud of you. It will feel awkward, maybe even silly, but try it. Because the words you speak to yourself become the reality you live in. If you can learn to love yourself, you'll find it 1,000 times easier to love others. And that, my friend, is the foundation of becoming a truly better human being. Remember this. The journey to being better doesn't begin with the world. It begins with you. Love yourself. Forgive yourself. Nurture yourself. And then watch how that goodness spills out into every corner of your life. They say character is revealed not when life is easy, but when life tests us. And nowhere is that more true than in how we treat other people. Think about it. It's not your job title that defines you. It's not your bank account, your possessions, or even your achievements. At the end of the day, the world will remember you for one thing: how you made people feel. A frustratie wonder creating to purifies. A story of a small act. I once heard about a man who walked into a cafe on a rainy morning. He ordered his coffee, but when he reached for his wallet, he realized he had left it at home. Embarrassed, he started to walk out. But before he could leave, a woman behind him gently said, "I've got it." Don't worry, she paid for his drink. No questions asked. That man later said, "It wasn't just about the coffee. It was about the reminder that people are good, that kindness exists." A $5 act changed his entire outlook on humanity that day. That's the power of how we treat each other. The weight of anger. Now let's flip the story. Think about the last time someone cut you off in traffic, or when someone insulted you unfairly. What did you feel? Anger? Frustration? The desire to lash out? It's natural. But here's the truth. Anger is heavy. It weighs you down more than it hurts the other person. Choosing patience doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're wise enough not to hand over your peace of mind. As the saying goes, holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. When you treat others with grace, even when they don't deserve it, you free yourself first. Are the power of listening. We live in a noisy world. Everyone wants to talk. Few people want to listen. But here's the secret. One of the kindest things you can do for someone is simply to listen. Really listen. Put down the phone. Look them in the eye. Hear not just their words, but their heart. When you listen, you give people the gift of being seen, being valued, and that gift is priceless. On forgiveness. The hardest act of kindness. One of the greatest tests of our character is forgiveness. It's easy to be kind to strangers. It's harder to be kind to those who've hurt us. But forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean excusing the harm. It means refusing to let bitterness take root in your soul. When you forgive, you set two people free. The other person and yourself. Think of forgiveness not as weakness, but as the ultimate strength. The courage to choose love over resentment. Everyday kindness. Being good to others doesn't always require grand gestures. In fact, the smallest actions often leave the deepest impact. 3. Smile at the cashier. Hold the door open. Give up your seat on the bus. Compliment someone sincerely. It takes seconds. But those seconds echo in someone's heart for hours, maybe even years. Because kindness is contagious. One act sparks another. And soon, you're not just changing one life. You're changing the culture around you. Respect and empathy. To truly treat others well, we must learn empathy. Ask yourself, what would I feel if I were in their shoes? When you practice empathy, you dissolve barriers. Race, age, gender, religion, background. You stop seeing categories. You start seeing people. Respect is not just about politeness. It's about recognizing the humanity in every person, whether they're a CEO or a janitor, a stranger, or your closest friend. Becoming a role model. Here's a thought. You are someone's example, whether you realize it or not. A child is watching you. A coworker is learning from you. A stranger is noticing how you treat others. The way you speak, the way you respond, the way you handle conflict, it all teaches. So what kind of teacher will you be? Will your life be a story of bitterness or a story of compassion? A challenge for you. Here's my challenge today. Do one intentional act of kindness for someone you know, and one for a stranger. Call a friend just to ask how they're doing. Write a note of gratitude. Offer help without being asked. Smile at someone who looks like they've had a rough day. Then pause. Notice how you feel. Notice how your spirit lifts, how your heart feels lighter. Because every act of kindness you give away comes back to you multiplied. Remember this. How we treat others defines who we are. You can build success, you can chase wealth, you can collect achievements, but in the end, your true legacy will be the kindness you showed, the compassion you gave, and the love you shared. So let's choose wisely. Let's treat others not just as they deserve, but as we would hope to be treated on our hardest days. Because in lifting others, we rise ourselves. Let's be honest, life isn't easy. There are days when you feel like everything is against you. days when the world feels gray, heavy, and exhausting. On those days, it's tempting to let go of our values, to cut corners, to lash out, to numb ourselves. But here's the truth: the choices you make in the dark shape who you are when the light returns. And that's where integrity and joy come in. Integrity, doing the right thing when no one is watching. Integrity isn't about being perfect. It's about being consistent. It's easy to act kind when people are watching. It's easy to tell the truth when there's no cost. It's easy to be generous when you're praised for it. But what about when no one sees? What about when you could get away with the lie? What about when being selfish feels safer? That's when character is tested. Integrity is the quiet strength of choosing honesty, fairness, and kindness, even when it's inconvenient, even when no one applauds. As the saying goes, character is who you are in the dark. When you live with integrity, you sleep better, you stand taller, and you leave behind a legacy that can't be bought or faked. The simplicity of life. Confucius once said, "Life is simple, but we insist on making it complicated." And he was right. We think happiness lies in more money, more recognition, more success. But deep down, what brings peace is often less comparison, less noise, less pretending, and more presence, more gratitude, more joy. Hal de Julio, a man who lived with extraordinary positivity, once shared his simple rules for life 2-to-1. Always choose a positive attitude. 2. Build life on respect. 3. Let integrity be your foundation. 4. Embrace challenges with courage. 5. Keep learning with passion. 6. Live joyfully. 7. Be good first, simple but powerful. Rules that don't just sound good, they work. The nature of joy, here's something surprising. Joy is not just for children. We often think that as adults, we're supposed to be serious, stressed, burdened. But joy is not childish. Joy is our natural state one. Joy is found in color, in laughter, in music, in a shared smile, in the sunlight breaking through the clouds. It doesn't need to be grand. It just needs to be noticed. Researchers call it joy spotting, the practice of paying attention to little sparks of happiness in your everyday life. The smell of coffee in the morning, the sound of your child laughing, the feeling of warm sunlight on your face. These moments are small, but they accumulate. And when you collect them, they build resilience, hope, and strength. Joy in the midst of struggle. You might think, but what about when life is hard? When everything feels broken? Here's the beautiful paradox. Joy often thrives in the hardest places. Think about people who endure great suffering. Many of them still find ways to laugh, to sing, to celebrate. Why? Because joy isn't the absence of pain. It's the reminder that even in pain, life is still worth living. Joy is not denial, it's defiance. It says, the world may be heavy, but I choose light. Becoming a source of joy. Now imagine this. What if you became not just someone who experiences joy, but someone who spreads it? The person who celebrates others' wins instead of being jealous. The person who brings laughter into the room. The person who notices beauty and shares it. That's the kind of presence people never forget. Because joy is magnetic. When you carry it, you lift everyone around you. Building a life of integrity and joy. So how do you actually live this way? Start small. Be honest even when it's hard. Keep your promises even when no one will know if you don't. Find one thing each day that sparks joy and savor it. Celebrate others as if their success were your own. On your worst days, look for one bright moment and hold on to it. These aren't complicated steps, they're choices. And every choice is a brick in the foundation of a better life. A challenge for you. Here's my challenge today. Pick one area of your life where you can live with more integrity. Maybe it's being truthful with yourself. Maybe it's keeping a promise to someone you've let down. Maybe it's doing the right thing when no one will ever notice. And pick one way to invite more joy. Maybe it's playing your favorite song and dancing. Maybe it's writing down 3 moments you're grateful for. Maybe it's sending a message, celebrating someone else's achievement. Do these 2 things, integrity and joy, and watch how your spirit shifts. The final reminder: at the end of your life, people won't remember the titles you held, the cars you drove, or the zeros in your bank account. They'll remember your integrity. They'll remember the joy you carried. They'll remember how you made them feel. So live in such a way that when your story is told, it is a story of honesty, compassion, laughter, and love. Because being a better human isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's about compassion. It's about choosing again and again the path of integrity and joy. Thank you for being here, for choosing this journey of becoming better. If this message spoke to you, don't just keep it for yourself. Share it, live it, spread it, because the world doesn't need more perfect people. It needs more real people, more kind people, more joyful people, and that person can be you.